Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Andy Ruiz Jr. successfully makes his return to the ring by beating Chris Arreola via a unanimous decision. Now, to be fair, this fight was actually much better than I anticipated. It was much more competitive than I anticipated. And yeah, all in all, actually, this was a pretty good fight. So credit to both guys for making it fun. The fight started off with Andy Ruiz applying pressure behind his guard. He was trying to walk Chris Arreola down behind his jab, and he was firing that straight right hand behind it, and also looking for that left hook and explosive combinations when he had Chris Arreola stationary. Arreola in the first round was boxing and moving. He was flicking the jab and looking to walk Andy Ruiz into that right hand, basically time him coming in. And the first round was pretty competitive, but I felt Andy Ruiz landed the better work whilst being the aggressor. So I felt round one was an Andy Ruiz round. Round two, though, Chris Arreola pulled something out of the bag. He actually timed Andy Ruiz coming in with a short right hand, and Andy Ruiz was actually momentarily dropped. He beat the count quite comfortable, but after that, both guys exchanged, both guys landed some good shots, and yeah, round two was a real fun round, but obviously it was a 10-8 round for Chris Arreola. And round three, once again, Arreola trying to, get a foothold in this fight, build on what he did in round two, and he came out quite aggressive in round three and punched with Andy Ruiz Jr. Usually when you're punching with Andy Ruiz, you're the one coming off worse, but in this occasion, Chris Arreola landed a left hook on Andy Ruiz, and it definitely buzzed him. Andy Ruiz felt that shot, and there was a couple of times in round three when he got caught by Chris Arreola by either the right hand or the left hook, and Andy definitely felt it. The first thing that was going through my mind on that occasion, or these occasions, was obviously Andy's lost a little bit of weight quite quickly, and I wondered whether that could have affected his punch resistance. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe he just caught by perfect shots, it happens, but he was definitely hurt a few times in this fight, in both the second and third round. But to Andy Ruiz's credit, after the third round he actually started to minimise the success of Chris Arreola. Ruiz was boxing more effectively. I felt he was doing a better job of kind of keeping his guard up and blocking the straight punches of Chris Arreola. And whilst he was doing that, he was applying pressure. He was firing that jab to body and head, and he was picking some good power shots. So basically, after the third round, it was mainly Andy Ruiz outboxing and picking the better shots against Chris Arreola. Chris Arreola still had some success here and there. After the third round, he was landing some good single shots here and there, but nothing really to get you too excited. For example, he landed a nice right hand in round 5, but never really followed up. So yeah, after the third round, it was mainly Andy Ruiz's fight. Ultimately, from round 4 onwards, Arreola really didn't have the physicality or the stamina to really match Andy Ruiz Jr. And actually, in the 8th round, I think it was the 8th round, Chris Arreola was kind of like shaking his shoulder, and it looked like he actually injured that shoulder. And after that, Arreola threw even less punches, and yeah, Andy Ruiz really kind of dominated the last few rounds of this fight. But yeah, it's a weird fight. First 3 rounds were quite entertaining. After that, Andy Ruiz really just took over and was doing the far better work. But, I've got to give Chris Arreola credit. I thought he'd get knocked out in this fight, to be honest. He's been through so many wars, 40 years old, been there, seen it, done it, but well past his best, and Andy Ruiz was supposed to make a statement. I thought Chris Arreola was getting knocked out in this fight, and I didn't expect him to have the success that he had. So I do need to credit Chris Arreola for doing a lot better than I expected. And also, Chris Arreola, 40 years old, coming in at a career lightest. Where was this dedication 10, 12 years ago? He's left it too late, Chris Arreola, because, who knows what would have happened if Arreola actually took it seriously back in the day. But still, I've got to give him credit, showed some good toughness, he stuck in there, had success, but ultimately didn't do enough. As for Andy Ruiz, was he all that impressive in this fight? In my opinion, no. Don't get me wrong, he still showed some great attributes, good hand speed, good combinations, nice creativity with his offense, etc. Some nice timing, actually a pretty good jab coming forwards. But these are the usual attributes that we're used to seeing from Andy Ruiz Jr. I didn't really see too many new implementations in Andy Ruiz's game. Obviously, he's been trained by Eddie Reynoso for the last few months. I didn't really see any noticeable improvements in this fight. He was still getting caught coming forwards. His feet were still very slow. His ability to cut the ring off isn't the greatest. You know, the same flaws are still there in my opinion. He did try to move his head a little more, but, you know, he was still getting tagged up. So I'm not really sure, to be honest, about Andy Ruiz. I think he needs a big fight after this. You know, I want to see him fight Deontay Wilder in America. I think that'll be a great fight. Even Luis Ortiz, if they make that fight next for Andy Ruiz, I wouldn't moan, I wouldn't complain. But yeah, and as for Chris Arreola, I think it's best now that this guy retires, if we're being honest. But there we go. Share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Peace.